all, I'm Steve Stark. I'm the press officer at the U.S. Embassy. One of my responsibilities there is our social media effort there. First off, what I want to say is I'm not going to present myself as an expert on social media, but more so as somebody who has experience with it and somebody who has to work with it every day. I have a feeling that for most people, social media is new enough that anybody who claims to be an expert will probably be made a fool of in the next 6 months or a year down the road. So there's a lot to learn. I'm just here to share a little bit of my experience. One of the things that I would first say about the embassy's efforts towards social media or towards digital diplomacy is that it's really not viewed as something entirely different from diplomacy in general. We use it as any other diplomat would before the internet existed. We use it for networking, to be able to reach out and to be able to make new contacts, to be able to understand a little bit more about the country in which we work. We use it to gather information. At the end of the day, there's only so much you can gather from the newspapers or from television. There's only so much you can gather from polls. The opportunity to be able to speak directly to Serbians who are not in positions of power but have opinions is incredibly useful to us, for us to be able to reflect that back to our colleagues back in Washington. And then it's also useful for us just when we're building relationships. The embassy is very interested in building deeper and better ties here in Serbia. Doing this with social media, there are other folks who also can only reach out best online. And so this is an opportunity for us to do that at the embassy, and that's something that we use it for. But at the end of the day, our approach to social media is really meant more to reflect American values. And that's not to say that those values are exclusively American, but that when people go to our Facebook page or when people follow us on Twitter, that they feel like they are speaking to an American, that they feel like if the only person they see as an American is Barack Obama or George Bush, that they're going to have another voice that is going to be an American voice. It's going to hopefully feel accessible. People should feel like they're going to be able to reach out and ask questions and that we're going to interact. We want people to feel like we're open to debate, that if somebody wants to ask us a question, that we will respond. Resources may not allow us to respond to every question, but then we'll have that communication. That it reflects freedom of speech. I'm not sure, has anybody who is here today, have you followed the U.S. Embassy's Facebook page or looked at watched our Twitter feed? You will very rarely see us remove a comment. You will see lots of people who have negative things to say about the United States every single day. But the only times that we're going to remove a comment is if there's profanity, if there are threats, if there are users who are attacking other users, or when people try to hijack a conversation into something completely unrelated, advertising, or something that is not, they're trying to hijack the conversation, then we will try to redirect it. But what we try to do with our social media presence is reflect Americans' view that freedom of speech is important. And then finally, to support human rights, individual rights. And so you will see us very actively talk about individual rights, human rights across the spectrum as something that's important to us. So with that sort of as the framework, what we did when I came here is we tried to grow our Facebook presence. I want to ask Vlada Tosic, who is one of our webmaster and our digital outreach coordinator, and very shy, doesn't like to show his face to people, so he's looking at me. And he had already built our Facebook page with about 80,000 followers. And what we did when I arrived is we talked about, hey, this is an excellent opportunity for the United States to be able to speak directly to ordinary Serbs who don't have the opportunity to talk to somebody at the embassy all the time. How do we do that? So we sketched out a strategy to grow our audience. In the last 3 years, we've grown our audience from about 80,000 followers on Facebook to about 240,000 followers on Facebook. So it's about 3 times larger. And what we have essentially tried to do is mix together policy and some of the more serious topics that you would would expect from government, that you would expect from diplomacy, with culture. So Zoran is going to show photos of Djokovic. We will occasionally use a picture of Djokovic to get a little bit of love. But then the next day we might switch in something about women's rights or the rights of Roma, or a policy objective that's not quite as likable at first glance, but that we've used cultural similarities to build that connection. We also use Twitter. We don't use Twitter to the same extent that we do Facebook, but it's really because we're trying to use it in a different way. With Facebook, we're trying to reach a general audience. So you can build an audience of 240,000 people. On our Facebook page, I think we've got up to about 14,000 followers. And so it's a much smaller audience, but as was pointed out, it's much more geared towards diplomats, it's much more geared towards journalists. It's where we try to put either our local perspective on an event. So with our Twitter, on Friday, when Minister Mihajlović and our ambassador signed an agreement that would allow air traffic between the United States and Serbia, we tweeted out a photo of the two signatures because we knew that RTS or B92 or whoever wasn't going to beat us to it, that this was something that we could do for a little bit of a local touch. And then we also use our website, like any other government site would, to present static information about consular issues, how to get a visa, how to do green card lottery, those sorts of things that don't change very often. What I would talk a little bit about just sort of our approach to this, and then I'd be interested in hearing if you had questions about how we do it. I think the reason that we were able to grow our audience so large was because we've shown a commitment to it. We have somebody who has put resources to it. Vlada is working on that issue every single day. Vlada and I meet every day and we talk about how we're going to interact online. We reach out to every other section of the embassy. Every day I have meetings with the different parts of the embassy and we gather the information about what needs to be presented. So it's that commitment over time. Making sure that you're providing fresh information every day, or at least a conversation. If you know how Facebook works, you know that if you're not in your followers' feed, if they don't like something, soon enough you're going to fall off, and then you're going to have sort of a static member, somebody who's not paying attention. We do it in the vernacular, which means that I don't do it. It means that Vlada speaks. He puts it in Serbian. It's always in his voice. It makes it so that we have more of a unified voice, so that when you are interacting with the embassy page, it always sounds like you're talking to the same person. It's always in one person's voice, and that's why we need that commitment. And then we try to be responsive. Now, we posted that pic about the air traffic agreement. We got 240 but I think it's about 200,000. Reach was about 200,000 people. Every single person who asks a question, we're not going to be able to respond to it. And so what we will do is we will choose one comment or one question which is most representative, or which is going to take the conversation in a way that we think will be useful, and we will respond to that one as a way to build the community and as a way for us to represent to the rest of the folks, look, there's actually going to be an engagement here. That to me is probably the downside of something like Twitter. You are correct, I think, that in order for it to be done well, you need to have that responsiveness. You need to have that interaction. And while that might be something wise for diplomats, our layers of bureaucracy probably don't let us do that as quickly right now as perhaps they will one day. Let me leave it at that so I don't go on. I wanted to know if anybody had questions for me about how our social media presence works, about how our engagement works, from an American perspective, if not the Serbian perspective.
We have written guidelines on the level of the government.
What do you mean on the level?
Guidelines for social media guidelines. They have a document.
Yes. Well, the State Department has a document which guides a global strategy on it. However, it also acknowledges the fact that every single country is a little bit different. So, as it turns out, someplace like Serbia, Facebook is incredibly important, and there are many more users. My prior post and next post is South Africa. Young, black, upwardly mobile people in South Africa do do not use Facebook to the same extent that they use Twitter. So we're allowed to have some flexibility with the platform that's most effective.
Okay, for example, you mentioned that, let's say, attitude, Serbian attitude. Classical Serbian attitude is not quite positive towards USA, and let's say in the past couple of years, has it changed a bit? Which way?
I mean, I think that for me to answer that question, I would have to be a polling agency to be able to say, okay, this is how it's changed.
Just unofficially, but you're right.
If you were to look at a poll, you would say in the last 4 to 5 years that approval of the United States has risen. Now, I wouldn't use my respondents on Facebook as necessarily representative, but what we have also done, there will continue to be people who are dismissive or skeptical of the United States, but we've also tried to build a community where there is robust engagement, where there's conversation. And so what happens is if somebody wants to start off the conversation with something negative, pretty quickly what happens is we've got a community that will respond back and bring the conversation back to the topic at hand. And I think that's more useful.
So do you have some kind of statistics? You mentioned like 8,000 people on Facebook. Those are probably younger people, or what is the demographics of that group?
I think that our users tend to mirror what they do in Facebook, or internet users as a general rule. They tend to be within that 18 to 45 year hump. Older users aren't any more likely to use our site than anybody else. Same thing with younger users. If I'm not mistaken, we have slightly more men than women than you would see on the internet. But in general, we do reflect what you see on the internet anywhere else.
I'm sorry, how long did you have to get prepared before you arrived to Belgrade regarding the culture, political system, and tradition that is connected with that country?
Probably not as well as I wish that I had been. Serbia, whenever we go to a new post, it depends on how much education you need beforehand about the particular place. One thing that one of the locals gave me as a piece of advice before I came here was the recognition that there is no way that I am going to be as expert on anything that happens in this part of the world as somebody who is from this part of the world. So I've tried to approach it with a sense of humility, with an understanding that what I see is not necessarily the fullness and richness of everything that has happened here, but hopefully that my perspective, that I might see it with different eyes than had been seen before. One thing that you might see on our page in the next couple of months, we try to do narrative arcs where we'll introduce topics and talk about them at various times, is a reflection of that in me. When I first came to Serbia, I was really surprised by the amount of graffiti that you would see everywhere. Now, I like street art. If it's clever and it's funny, I like to see it. If it's a tag for a football team, I don't like it. And so one thing that the embassy will do, and that I am going to try to introduce in our social media, is more and more posts and conversations that talk about how when citizens are paying close attention to their immediate surroundings and taking ownership for things near them, for cleaning up their building and their streets. That raises property values, that makes it more likely that businesses will want to invest there. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily anything about Serbia, but it's more because I'm from Detroit. And in my town, the neighborhoods that were able to do that, their property values have gone up, and the other ones that have not, the property values have gone down. And so hopefully that different perspective, even if it's not understanding Serbia and the Balkans and all of their richness, will hopefully still be useful. But if it's not your property, don't take credit for it.
Okay, any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wait a minute. If you haven't joined our Facebook page or you want to see if what I'm telling you is the truth, take a little bookmark and follow